Erika De La Cruz, the hashtag Passionista. You are watching Passion to Paycheck here on the Focus TV network, where we are diving in to the tips, tales, tweetables, and trials of people pursuing their dreams. Today, with me in the studio, we have media maven, lifestyle expert, founder, creative director of Style and Society magazine. Please welcome Miss Kinya Claiborne.
Hey girl.
I swear to God, we did not rehearse that. Oh man, I am so excited to have you here today, Kinya.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I said one word in your intro, which was lifestyle expert. That kind of encompasses all of the things that you do. So here at Passion to Paycheck, we really dive in to the topics that you can't find on your favorite idols or public figures Instagram feeds. So we're gonna get a little bit more deep, girl.
All right.
But the point is, Style and Society is not only fashion, but it's society, it's travel, it's entrepreneurship, it's entertainment, it's everything that I'm your demographic. It's everything that I want to read about in my life. Did you plan for everything that you're interested in to just coincidentally be your work?
You know, it's funny because my background is a little interesting and unique. So I started out my career working in media. So I worked in TV news, I worked in radio, and I worked for the LA Business Journal in print, and then transitioned from the media world really into public relations. And so on the public relations corporate communication side, I worked for major companies like IKEA North America, American Honda Motor Company, and then I got the itch for entertainment. And so I went into entertainment as a brands and events publicist with PMK. And then, just kind of over time, I was going to a lot of events, red carpet stuff, and I wanted to basically create a platform where I'm able to share all of the things that I loved with the world. And I don't know if you're old enough to remember this, because I'm probably a little bit older.
I'm seasoned.
But do you remember Daily Candy?
I of course remember. Yes. I remember Daily Candy.
Okay.
Yes.
So you know how much we loved Daily Candy back in the day, then all of a sudden it just disappeared. Right?
So that's so funny because I never thought about that. Where did Daily Candy go?
I think it was bought and then sold, and then it just kind of...
They gave us our daily dose of stuff we needed.
Yeah, it's we looked forward to getting that daily dose every day, and it was everything that we needed, and we looked forward to getting that email. And so for me, it was kind of the first of this whole blogging, digital content kind of things for girls like us.
Yeah, what I remember is it was a newsletter, which at the time was very rare, but Daily Candy had this brilliant idea that now we sort of take for granted because we're inundated, but to send out this newsletter, with all of the lifestyle stuff that we loved, and it was right in our inbox. And it was kind of the first of its kind, and maybe it got bought or absorbed by someone.
Right.
So you were watching them, and then noticed that they evaporated.
They disappeared, and and then Rack LA happened, and then the same thing happened where they kind of disappeared, and I felt like it left this void. And I'm a woman, I'm an African American woman, I'm multidimensional, but just because I'm African American doesn't mean I just want to see African American content.
Yeah.
What that does mean is I do see things through this lens, and so I wanted to create something that really touched on diversity. And so no matter if you're gay or lesbian or what ethnicity you are or where you live, you feel connected to the content. And there's so many publications that really operate in a silo. So they just cover fashion, or they just cover entertainment, or they just cover travel or food. The thing is, I love all of it.
You're the one-stop shop. I'm you have to go to Vogue if you want Vogue. You have to go to Us Weekly if you want the entertainment.
Exactly.
I noticed with Style and Society, you basically cover all of our bases, and it's ooh, it's like a Bloomingdale's. You don't have to leave because they've got every
all
brand.
Right there. Yeah, exactly. And I love all of it. So, I wanted to create a platform that really touched on all the things that I love.
Yeah.
And that was really the catalyst behind it. So in the name, Style and Style and Society, style represents more than fashion, it represents lifestyle.
Oh, I love it.
And then as you said, society represents everything that we do, the food, we eat, we travel, we do all all of these, things.
Yep.
And I actually do a lot of things that are a little bit unconventional. Like I play golf. I've played in probably 25 golf tournaments.
I would have never, literally, I would have been like, oh, maybe she's on a runway. I would have never, ever in my life said that you're a golfer.
Yeah, I love golf, but then it's also bringing that to my readers and showing them maybe something that they aren't familiar with or they haven't tapped into yet, right?
Yeah.
I also love country music. I don't have very many friends that do, but it's opening up a whole nother world to, these readers.
That's beautiful, because a lot of what is going on right now in the world is that we are taking these snapshot glimpses of what we think a person is or looks like, and kind of making these assumptions. And like you just said, you like country music and you're a golfer, and people see me and I'm like, I'm at my hip hop dance studio and literally watching, listening to Eminem and Drake every single day. And people are like, what are you talking about? Are you really into that? I'm like, of course.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we're, not only as women, but as human beings, we are comprised of so many more things than these first takes are really being perceived as by the general world. So
we don't have to be put in a box.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. So one of the things, just for the audience out there, is that we talk a lot about Passion to Paycheck, about, turning the daydream into the dream job. And that includes going through your corporate world phase or corporate world transition. And I always say, I learned to literally wield in on my business and brand from working with Entercom Broadcasting first, from seeing how they do things, seeing what I liked. From that, I was able to sort of bring that into my own brand. So for anyone out there in a 9-to-5, you were in media, broadcasting, what can they sort of do, and how can they be doing their 9-to-5 without complaining and wallowing, as an opportunity, sort of an asset to jump into what they want to create later?
Well, so a lot of people follow me on social media, and they see my posts and they think that I just live this glamorous lifestyle, and all I do is just travel and shop and go to red carpet events. And part of that is true, but there's a lot of work that goes behind that. And I always say, create the life that you want to live. Create it. So I developed Selves Society just based off of what I already loved doing. So I said, and when I started it, I actually never wanted to be a journalist. I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. That was never my jam. But, I majored in mass communications in college. And so I've always been interested in the art of communication, which is why I started out in media, and then I transcended into more of the mass communications. So I had this really unique experience that included both the media side and the PR side. So with starting a magazine, I knew what it meant to start a magazine from the media perspective, and then also what it meant on the other side from PR firms that are looking to pitch and get stories covered. And so I think today so I didn't really have a mentor, or I didn't have a guideline book that told me how to start a magazine.
There was no playbook.
There was no playbook, and I didn't really have anyone that I could really ask for, a mentor. I really just learned as I went. And I think today it's so easy to start your business because you can go to GoDaddy and buy a domain. You can, go to WordPress, develop a website.
So it's interesting, because what I love to do is sometimes we, having already gone through the starting point, we don't realize that people who haven't started yet don't really know the logistics or details of how to even begin. So let's take it back to Kinya sitting there. She's thinking, style and society, what a great concept. Your mission is not really to be a journalist.
No.
What is your first step? What's the first thing you do? What was your first article or feature or how did you start? The little things.
Sure. So before I even started Selves Society magazine, I was already, going to a lot of events. I was already, just because I was kind of in that space, right? And so I just started writing articles, even without having a platform to share it on, right?
I love it.
So I just started doing that, and I did that. And then the next step was, okay, well, now I need a platform to be able to, because I already had all this content.
Interesting.
I started out with content without a platform. And so, from there, I was like, okay, well, I need to have a website.
Yeah.
The hardest part about starting Style and Society was actually coming up with my name.
Oh,
it took
wow.
me an entire year to come up with my name.
Yeah.
You know, the internet is so cluttered. You know, everything you probably can think of is taken unless you make something up. So it took me a year to come up with the name, and then I just had this aha moment, and then it was like Style and Society. That's exactly what I knew. That's what it was, and it was available.
Not having that name sort of, there was this procrastination element, because that's what happens to me. I get stuck on the tiny branding things, the tiny, like, what am I going to name this? Sort of prevents me in the new, like when you're conjuring up a new idea, just taking the action. Did it stop you for a little bit?
I mean, it did, because without a name, you can't, I mean, everything starts from the name.
Yeah.
And once you have the name, because I already had the vision. I knew exactly what I wanted it to be. I knew exactly how I wanted to manifest. I knew exactly how I wanted to look and feel. I just didn't have the name. And so once I had the name, everything else fell into place. So, I got, created a logo, created a website, got my DBE and, got all my business licenses and, all of that stuff.
I love it.
And then once the website was ready, all of the content that I had already been kind of capturing, I populated it.
That's amazing. So did it ever occur to you to do like any sort of print, or were you just like, it's going to be digital, it's going to be social? Like the daily candy route, this is just going to appear in the places people are right now.
Yeah, so I went to Sacramento State for college, majored in mass communications, and I still remember my first semester in college as a freshman. I was taking like some type of like journalism class, and on the first day of class, the professor said, in the next 10 years, print and magazines and newspapers as we know it today will be dead. And this was in 1998, right, when he said that. And back then, it's like we relied on getting our newspapers every single day delivered in order to read the news. I mean, there was I think I got my first cell phone maybe in 1998, my first year in college.
Love it.
So there was I think maybe there was like Black Planet, and I don't even think Facebook existed back then in 98.
Interesting.
So this whole idea of, wow, like print, like there's going to be this whole new form of communication.
A new wave of digital media.
Yeah, and the way of connecting with people. So, for me, I think, with having something that's digital, I think you can get content out quicker, right? Because by the time sometimes it's in print, it's already old news.
Right.
And then, you could utilize or leverage social media really for free as a way to market your business or market your brand.
Yeah,
right?
I just think that it's funny because we, growing up, like, millennials and all of that sort of generation still loves TV, magazine, like there's still charge around those words. So it's funny because when I think of Style and Society, if it was just Style and Society, it might live online as a blog, but this competitive edge that, I think sends viewers and your audience is, it's Style and Society magazine. So you're essentially reading it online. And it's, similar to we here at Focus, it's Focus Magazine, but now there's a television platform. We're on social, and the communication has expanded inside of the environment now of media, like digital media. So fascinating.
And then, also I think when I started Style and Society, I started it with the idea that, today, it's an online magazine, right? But it could be a reality show one day. It could be a clothing line. It can be a consulting company one day.
And
it's a brand that lives. And after the first year of starting Style and Society, I launched a show with Onyx Networks called The Stylist. Yeah.
Yeah, and as I understand, it's fast-paced. It gives us our little quip on what's going on inside of fashion is what I assumed. But now that you are alluding to the fact that style is lifestyle, what kinds of content do you feature on the show?
Sure. So it's kind of like fashion trends, pop culture. So a lot of people tell me that the show reminds them of like a blend between like MTV News from back in the day and like MTV House of Style.
I love it.
Like a rebooted version of that.
Bringing it all back.
Yeah. So every episode is different. I mean, I could be, on a press trip somewhere and doing an episode in Ojai or in Guadeloupe or in Greece or somewhere.
I love it.
Or Or it could be interviewing, like someone like Rachel Zoe, about her, boho chic,
Totally.
Coachella style, or it could be, a restaurant opening. It could be anything. Yeah.
Does it feel a little bit surreal that all of these amazing, incredible celebrities, public figures, events, travel destinations are looking to you to gain this coverage, and inside of your personal life, you actually have this opportunity to go just travel for a living or go to this event for a living, and it's sort of part of your professional world. Is that surreal, or is that something you had envisioned before starting this?
Well, I think, when I first started Style and Society, this whole idea of influencer, didn't really exist the way that it does today. And so I just really started it really as just a creative passion. It wasn't intended to make any money. It wasn't intended to be an influencer. It wasn't intended to do anything other than to have a platform where I'm able to share some of the things that I think are really cool that may or may not get the publicity that it deserves, like a charity event or a nonprofit, right? Really spotlighting that. Maybe, bigger outlets may not cover it, but I think it's important. And so I'm able to, share that with everyone. So yeah, it's just, I always feel just very blessed. But I think a lot of people kind of talk about, their dreams and their visions and what they want to do, but there's no action behind it. You have to put action behind it in order to make it happen.
Yeah, sometimes I can even as a human, I need to be aware that when I have ideas and I brainstorm on something, sometimes I feel so fulfilled that I'm like, oh yeah, there's the action part. That is the only access to making it real.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the times human beings get trapped in that part. It's they stop at the idea phase.
Yeah.
So speaking of ideas, did anyone hate this idea? Did anyone naysay this goal and this creation, or was there a darker period, maybe even during your corporate world or in college, that you went through?
I wouldn't say a dark period, but before I started Style and Society magazine, I lost my younger brother, and so it was also kind of and he was very much into tech and digital, and he lived in San Francisco, and it was this kind of creative outlet to really, focus on something positive and really create something.
Yeah.
And then I had a friend, Splash magazine. I don't know if you remember Lawrence, but
I remember Splash.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
So Lawrence, he passed away. Right after my brother did, and he was a little bit of an inspiration for me in starting Style and Society magazine, because I would see him at events, and I saw how he kind of grew this online platform, and so it's kind of taking those things and really making something positive.
Yeah, letting it drive you. And there's also this idea that not only can loss motivate you because you're doing it in the honor of the loved ones that you did lose, but also there's this theme that sometimes we don't want to think about, but it's the only common truth on the planet, which is we all do have an expiration date. So if you're not following those creative passions and those visions, that time you never know when it's going to be. So, so congrats on starting the magazine. I know that you've won awards. You're now an entrepreneur, and you get to just do these different things and cover the topics that you believe in for the magazine. Do you have anything coming up that we can look forward to? Any collaboration or something for the audience?
Yeah. So I'm an influencer with Revolve, and so I've been doing Revolve around the world, and I have that coming up again, and I'll be in New York, and then I am going to Guadeloupe on a press trip again. I went earlier this year. And they were so impressed with, just the content and the coverage that I was able to provide. So, I think of things kind of as a 360, right? So it's not just writing an article, but it's, writing editorial, right?
Yeah.
It's, the photography, it's video content, it's social media content, but kind of utilizing all aspects.
You're running this little universe and empire of all these different outlets and channels.
Yeah.
Love it.
And they were so impressed, and this was just back in February, that they said, we want you to come back again.
Yeah, girl. So for those who are watching and aren't familiar, Revolve is this badass clothing line. And I was wondering, I had these friends from Dubai and they were influencers and they're like, we'll be in LA. And it was for Revolve around the world.
Yeah.
So it's really fascinating that now, like when you have a passion, instead of advertising and billboards and all of this like outdoor spends that used to exist in the market, now people are seeking out just people with voices and platforms and brands like Kinya, like, whatever's waiting in the back of your mind to create.
Yeah.
You could be shoulder tapped to go on these sort of trips and all of these different things. So,
yeah. And I always think about, like how could you elevate your brand, right? And there's so many influencers that are on Instagram. And I think Instagram is such a great platform to really be able to market your business, but I think, if you don't have your own website, you should get one, right?
Yeah,
because one day Instagram is not going to exist, right?
Yep.
In the same way that MySpace existed, and then there was Facebook, and you know what I mean?
100%.
So you should always, I think, have your own platform and then utilize social media as a way to kind of like leverage your own platform. Because, like I have a friend and her Instagram got hacked, by somebody overseas. And it's like, okay, well, if you have like, 100,000, 200,000, 1 million followers, and then one day
they're
it gets
gone.
Hacked, and what do you have?
Yeah,
if you don't have something else.
The business advice that I'll never forget that was given to me is build your email list, build the URLs out that you own, because at the end of the day, you own them. And you can't own a social media platform because it's another company. So utilize it. Don't necessarily rely on it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's invaluable in terms of advice. And so where can we catch up with you on Style and Society, or even Kinya herself?
Okay, so either styleandsociety.com or you can go to KinyaClaiborne.com.
Oh, hey.
So I just actually launched KinyaClaiborne.com. It's just more of... KinyaClaiborne.com is not a blog at all. It's just more about me. So it's
as a public figure, a personality, and a host.
Exactly, yeah. So it's just focused on that. You can also find me on Instagram, either at Style and Society or Kinya Claiborne.
It's good stuff. Get on that feed. Yeah.
But so my name is spelled a little bit different. So it's Kinya. Was named after the country. During the year that I was born, there were a lot of children in Kenya dying because of famine, so I was named on behalf of the country.
Beautiful.
But my name is spelled with an I, so it's Kinya, and my last name is Claiborne.
Yeah, perfect. Love it. So just as a repetition, styleandsociety.com, KinyaClaiborne.com, or at Style and Society. Also at Kinya Claiborne, Kinya with an I, Claiborne, Claiborne.
Yep.
I got that right. That's fantastic. So now, lastly, any parting words of wisdom, advice, sort of the best that you've ever received for anyone out there wanting to start something and take action on their creative visions?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I feel like every single day is a new adventure. I'm excited every single day because I get to do really what I love. I mean, my job is fun, but whatever it is that your vision or passion is, you have to put like action behind it to actually make it happen. And it's so easy now to just buy a domain and kind of like put the pieces of the puzzle together to really start your business, but you have to really take the first step in order for it to happen.
I love it.
Right? And also never stop growing, right?
The theme is, what I'm hearing is take the action, because the ideas themselves, once you've thought about them for enough weeks, could actually be the reason you're not taking it. So even if it's baby steps, take them. Thank you for joining us, Kinya.
Thank you.
Everyone, that was Kinya Claiborne, founder, editor-in-chief of Society and Style magazine, media maven, TV host, and entrepreneur. You're watching Passionate Paycheck here on the Focus TV network.